NoDQ Galaxy, we are live with the NoDQ.com recap of Monday Night Raw, May the 23rd, 2022. We have Hell in a Cell coming up in just a few weeks. We are coming off SmackDown, the Unification Tag Team title match. We had the fallout from that on this show. Let's go ahead and get right into the recap. We opened up Raw with footage from SmackDown, the unification match, of course. Riddle came down to the ring for a promo. No Randy Orton on this show. Riddle talked about how he was there with a heavy heart. Randy is his dude, his bro, and Randy has been going through a tough time as of late. Randy, however, was not going to let Riddle down during the tag team title match. Riddle talked about what happened with Reigns interfering, said that Reigns is a tribal piece of trash, said that he will get his vengeance on Roman Reigns and the bloodline before his career is over. And he said that Randy is at home watching. He loves Randy, doesn't know the future of RK Bro, had the fans chant RKO. And then that led to our first match, Riddle and the Street Profits versus the Usos and Sami Zayn. I did like Riddle's promo because it was more of a serious tone than what we've seen from him before. And then we had this match coming up here. Riddle's ribs were taped up. The Usos beforehand cut a little backstage promo, talked about making the kids cry at SmackDown, said that that is what they do. They go out there, they say they're going to get the job done, and that's exactly what happens. They had a special introduction, and as they were coming down to the ring, Riddle and the Street Profits wasted no time. They ran down there, attacked Sami Zayn and the Usos. After the commercial break, order was restored. Montez Ford got hit with a super kick on the outside of the ring, and then Jey Uso took Riddle off the apron, sent Riddle into the barricade, ribs first. Eventually, Riddle got the hot tag. Montez Ford took out the Usos with a dive. And then Riddle hit the Randy Orton draping DDT to Zayn. Usos got on the apron, but then they decided to walk off. Sami Zayn was upset about this. He got hit with an RKO. Riddle picked up the victory. And afterwards, the Street Profits and Riddle did the Randy Orton pose. This makes sense if it is, in fact, Riddle versus Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. Good promo here to potentially build that up. Riddle picks up a win. So far, so good. I'm all for Riddle versus Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. Next up, we had Bobby Lashley come into the ring for an almighty challenge. He said that he knows that things are not over between him and Omos. He invited MVP and Omos to the ringside area. MVP and Omos did arrive. MVP said he was going to file a complaint about the cage match with Omos throwing Lashley into the cage and the cage breaking. Lashley had a challenge. He said that there would be a match, him and MVP, and the winner would get to pick the stipulation for Lashley versus Omos at Hell in a Cell. MVP accepted, and then him and Omos were coming down to the ring. They were going to try and take out Lashley, but Lashley held them off, and that set up the match for later. Backstage, Becky Lynch was complaining to Adam Pearce that Asuka cheated, said she should be getting a title match. Pearce said that he cannot just give her a title match, but they would do a rematch because that's what we do on Monday Night Raw. Adam Pearce made Asuka versus Becky Lynch in the main event, and if Becky Lynch won, she would get added to the Hell in a Cell match. Judgment Day came down to the ring for a promo, and it was a pretty lengthy promo. They maybe rambled on a bit too long. Priest was talking about how everybody needs to rise, show them respect. If it wasn't for Edge, Rhea Ripley and him would be stuck in the mud like sheep. Priest was starting to get some what chants. Edge was just shaking his head at this, by the way. Rhea Ripley got on the mic, talked about how she was advising Liv Morgan to stop listening to the simpletons in the crowd, said Liv needs to save herself like Rhea saved herself, join the Judgment Day. Edge then talked for a bit, said that they are the truth and the truth will set the people free that get behind them. Edge talked about how he wasn't handpicked like John Cena to be at the top. He is a miracle of his own hard work. The people in the audience are afraid of hard work. He said he is not afraid. Crowd was chanting, "You suck," and Edge said to look in the mirror and find out who sucks. Then Edge talked about who the next member of the group might be, maybe Tommaso Ciampa. He said the first name, by the way. Corey Graves, Alexa Bliss, Drew McIntyre, Liv Morgan, Finn Balor, and then he brought up AJ Styles. Said that Styles needs to make the right choice, and maybe one day AJ's kids can start referring to Edge as Uncle Edge. I liked the promo, but I do think it dragged on a bit too long. DJW sent in a $5 super chat, says, "What's up, Aaron? The Lashley and Omos feud is getting watered down and stale. What do you think?" Well, first of all, I'm doing well. Thank you for that, DJ. And I agree. I'm ready for these guys to move on, but quite frankly, I could say that about a lot of the feuds on Monday Night Raw right now. I feel like things need to be changed up a little bit, and I'm getting tired of the same matches week after week, but I mean, that's just the way it's been and the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, "Do casual fans like rematches with the same stars?" Yes, because it's familiar viewing for them. They like repetition. They like things kept simple. And that's why AEW fans might argue AEW is a superior product, because they are challenging fans to think a little bit more and see something they might not have seen before. But with WWE, they want to keep everything familiar for the younger fans, so they tend to do the same matches over and over again with the same people. I mean, that's my take on it, at least. Next up, we had AJ Styles and Liv Morgan versus Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley in a mixed tag team match, which I'll give WWE credit. Different match, something we haven't seen lately. The mixed matches don't happen all that often. So I like Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley teaming up. You had Ripley tagging in, pushing AJ Styles, and Liv came in, hit a Hurricane Rana with the assist from Styles, and then Liv hit a dive onto Rhea. Styles took down Priest. The babyface team was doing pretty well for a while, but then Rhea Ripley finally got the upper hand. And then Liv Morgan got a hot tag. Actually, let me back up. Rhea Ripley distracted Styles, and then Priest was working over Styles, and then Liv got the hot tag in, went for a pin, but Edge ended up grabbing Rhea's belt, which prevented Liv from hitting Oblivion, and then Rhea Ripley was able to pin Liv Morgan. This was solid, pretty pretty standard, and you would expect Edge to interfere. So victory here for Judgment Day. And then afterwards, Styles attacked Edge, but the numbers game caught up with him. Rhea Ripley once again going after Styles, and Styles could not really fight back, and it became 3-on-1. Spear from Edge to Styles, and then Liv Morgan got hit with the Riptide. Backstage, The Miz talked about Cody Rhodes' ego being out of control, said he was going to take Cody down a peg or two. We're getting Cody Rhodes versus The Miz again in just a few moments. We had the King's Court with Veer Mahan. Yes, Jerry the King Lawler on Monday Night Raw. He asked Veer, what is the secret to Veer's success? No comment. Why has Veer targeted the Mysterios? No comment. Lawler made some jokes that would make Madcap Moss's jokes funny and talked about Veer being hairy. Veer was not amused by this. I don't really think anybody was, quite frankly. He grabbed Lawler and said that while Mysterio is a legend, Mysterio has been too busy worrying about his boy Dominik. Said that makes Rey Mysterio weak. And then Veer said that he smells fear on Jerry Lawler. And Lawler said, no, that's just his cheap perfume. And then Veer was about to beat the crap out of Jerry, but then the Mysterios did arrive. And there was a brawl. Mysterio stood their ground, and Veer Mahal left the ring and retreated to fight another day. Veer should not be talking. Like this whole segment was just very 80s like and felt out of place here in 2022. Just was not a big fan of this one. Lawler does not also need to be on Raw. I'm kind of over Veer at this point. Like, to me, once they give up on this guy, he's going to quickly disappear. Like, we all joke about the Veer memes and everything, but I don't really think he's bringing much to the table. I think it's just a character they're trying to push for the market in India, and that's about it. Did I say Veer Mahal? If I did, then oh well. Yes, Veer came too much. I definitely agree with that. Backstage, Asuka cut a promo, said that Becky Lynch has been too busy crying. She was making fun of Becky for crying. By the way, Becky was wearing this white shirt that was reminiscent of Jerry Seinfeld. It was completely over the top, and I'm so over the whole Becky Lynch gimmick with her wearing all the ridiculous outfits. You know, I didn't like when the Young Bucks did it. I feel like it's just a really lame attempt at trying to get cheap heat. Although I did like the mustaches, but yeah, I felt like the Bucks were really trying hard with their costumes to get some heat. And same thing with Becky. Seth Rollins does it better than anybody, in my opinion. And got a comment here. Veer does nothing for the Indian market. Well, there you go. Jerry is the worst comedian ever. Are you talking about Jerry Seinfeld or Jerry Lawler, Colin? Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, when and how should Becky Lynch turn back babyface? Oh, let's see. ASAP, like drop this heel gimmick. But unfortunately, I feel like she'll never have that babyface momentum again. They could turn her face, and I feel like people will cheer for her, but it'll be similar to like when Steve Austin was hot. He turned heel, went back face. People still liked him, but wasn't quite the same. I really feel like this heel turn damaged Becky Lynch as a superstar. Just my take, though. Not a fan of this heel run of hers. Like, I just don't feel emotionally invested in her character. And it's not like, man, I really want to see Becky Lynch get beat up. It's like, I kind of just want to change the channel or watch something else. We had Seth Rollins cutting a promo backstage and said that he only hears Cody now instead of people humming his theme song, and it makes him physically ill. And he complained about the Cody Rhodes countdown. And then we had Cody Rhodes versus The Miz in a rematch for no reason whatsoever. Cody already beat him several weeks ago, but they had to do this match again. And it was back and forth for a bit. Good match as usual from these guys. Cody hit the cutter, put on the figure 4. Miz was able to escape, and then Cody went to the top rope. But Seth freaking Rollins pushed him off the top rope right in front of the referee. So there was a DQ, and then it was a 2-on-1 attack. And Rollins threw Cody into the steel steps, knee first, and then started. Well, what he did was he took the belt that Cody had given to a young fan at ringside, and he started whipping Cody with that belt. Then he left. Cody Rhodes needed help, but he grabbed his weightlifting belt and gave it back to that fan that had it taken from Seth freaking Rollins. This was all fine, but I mean, kind of just filler in my opinion. I'm ready to see Cody get in there and mix it up with some different people. I'd like to see Cody versus Roman Reigns, but I feel like they're going in that Riddle direction right now. Not really sure where Cody goes after this Hell in a Cell match. I would go with Roman Reigns, but feel like they're moving in a different direction. We had Ezekiel versus Chad Gable with Kevin Owens. Gable got no entrance. You know what that means. Kevin Owens was at ringside, yelling, doing his usual ranting and raving about Ezekiel. Gable worked over the leg and went for a moonsault, but Zeke was able to get his feet up. And as Zeke was starting to build up some momentum, Otis got on the apron, clotheslined Zeke when the referee wasn't looking. However, the referee was suspicious and kicked out Otis from ringside. Owens got into the ring, tried to sneak into the ring. He also was kicked out by the referee. And while everybody was upset, Gable was upset. Zeke rolled up Gable and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. Quickly ran over the barricade, got into the stands with the fans, and then Kevin Owens got on the mic and challenged Zeke to a match at Hell in a Cell. We finally have a new match for the pay-per-view with less than 2 weeks to go. Bravo, WWE. You're finally giving us a damn card here. Backstage, Cody Rhodes cut a promo, said he's still breathing, he still has his heart, yada, yada, yada. And then we had Bobby Lashley versus MVP. Not a very good match, in my opinion. I mean, this was MVP's first match back in a while, and was not great. I thought that things were a bit off with them, and there really wasn't much going on. Like, MVP kept stalling. He would go to the outside of the ring, acted like he hurt his knee, and while the referee was distracted, Omos took down Lashley, and MVP took control. He was doing the trash talking. Lashley just got angry, clotheslined MVP to the outside, sent MVP into the ring post, and then Omos attempted to attack Lashley right in front of the referee, but Lashley ducked. However, as this was going on, MVP got back in the ring, and then Lashley got counted out. So yes, MVP gets to pick the stipulation, but before he could even do that, Lashley put MVP in the Hurt Lock. Wonderful. Don't care about this match. Ready to move on. We had our main event segment of the evening, Becky Lynch versus Asuka. Rematch from last week, Bianca Belair at ringside. You know what this means. Asuka got shoved into the ring post from the apron, barely beat the 10 count. Becky Lynch quickly stayed on her, threw Asuka into the steel steps on the outside. Eventually, Asuka made a comeback, and it went back and forth a little bit. Becky attempted to put her feet on the ropes in an act of desperation, but that did not work. Asuka hit a superplex. Becky kicked out of that, and Becky ended up being knocked off the apron by Asuka. You know what this means when Becky is right over there by Bianca Belair, and sure enough, Becky was pretty much on Bianca's lap. Asuka went for a kick, but Becky ducked, and Bianca Belair got hit. Becky got Asuka back in the ring and pinned her 1, 2, 3. So, what a shock. The person sitting there at ringside got hit. Did not see that one coming, guys. So, yeah, kind of a bland main event in my opinion. Last week was better when they had the short notice and just had to go out there because of the whole Sasha Banks and Naomi thing. Very predictable, uneventful main event. Becky Lynch is now added to the match. I was kind of looking forward to Bianca versus Asuka one-on-one, but they made it a triple threat, so whatever. And that was Raw, everybody. DJW sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Says they're probably going to prep Cody to win Money in the Bank. He does have that commercial in the Raiders Stadium promoting Money in the Bank. I'm thinking that if he does not get the match with Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank, and I feel like it's going to be Riddle, then yeah, I could definitely see Cody Rhodes winning the Money in the Bank ladder match and maybe calling a shot for WrestleMania. Maybe that's what Cody will do. Overall, I thought this Raw was very standard, run-of-the-mill, by the numbers, a C show. You did not have to watch this show. If you missed it, you did not miss much. You can go on YouTube, watch the clips, and you will be more than caught up. No reason whatsoever to watch this 3-hour show. It was just a very average episode of Monday Night Raw. Really not much more to say about it. Like, it wasn't bad or anything. I just felt like it was uneventful. Like I was waiting for something interesting to happen and nothing really happened. DJW with a $10 super chat. Thank you again. I really do appreciate the super chats. He says, and what's up with the Bloodline carrying 6 titles now? It's cool now, but I thought the unification was meant to combine 2 titles into one. Now I feel like they're eventually going to drop them one at a time. You're probably right on that, DJ. I feel like these unification matches were done last minute. WWE not really wanting to commit to fully merging the titles. So you got Roman with the 2 belts, the Usos with 4 belts or titles, whatever. And Reigns will probably drop the WWE title at some point. Usos might drop the Raw tag team titles back at some point. I don't think WWE wants to go all the way with the unification, and that's why we haven't seen the 2 titles combined into one at this point. And as far as this show, I would actually say I don't recommend it. Like, it wasn't a bad show, but I honestly think you could skip this week's Raw. So, can't give it a recommend. Nothing really stood out to me as, like, you have to go out of your way to see it. Like, nothing, really. Like, there was no really great match or memorable promo or anything or storyline or angle or anything. There just really wasn't much. It was just your regular episode of Raw. Could have been any week show. Didn't really have much going on for it. So that's it for Raw, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in as always. I appreciate your viewership and support. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, tell a friend, and shout out to the Cleaver Colin Andrew. Follow him at nodq.com/Colin. Finally got to hang out with him this past weekend. Great time with everybody from NoDQ over the weekend. Stay tuned to nodq.com for the very latest predictions for AEW Double or Nothing Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Check that out. And of course, more content coming up this week on the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And remember to say yes to NoDQ.com. See you guys next time.